Welcome back to the show. Now, are you one of those who've been looking forward to the replacement of the East African Railway with a standard gauge railway? Well, not everybody is eager about it. Tayiana Chao, through her Save the Railway Photo project, has been eager to make more people more aware of how much the rich history is found in these railway stations. Take a look.
I like to consider myself a computer scientist by profession and a historian by passion. So I'm a computer science student, but I have a strong passion for history and heritage. So these are two of my main focuses and avenues that I have pursued for the past few years and I intend to pursue. The Agora is a blog that I started in 2012. Agora means meeting place. In ancient Greece, Agora was a place where people would meet to talk about politics and social issues. Naming my blog Agora was due to the fact that I wanted people to meet there and remember things. It's a history/arts and culture blog that revolves around Kenyan historical monuments, Kenyan history, and personal memories that people remember about certain events in Kenya's history. So I started it in 2012 while I was a student. I decided that the fact that I was a computer science student wouldn't stop me from pursuing my other passion. And since then, it's grown to receive views from all over the world, as far as Australia, Canada, India, the UK. So it's grown by leaps and bounds. There are actually people who reunited on my blog in the comment section. So it is a meeting place. The Save the Railway project is a project that I started in 2013 to document Kenya's antique railway stations. Now this came in the face of the impending demolition of some. With a standard gauge railway, I realized that some of the railway stations were scheduled for demolition. And this meant that if this history is not documented fast enough, then it will be forgotten forever. So Save the Railway aims to document the antique railway stations, but also talk about and document the memories and the lives that revolved around the railway. So Save the Railway documents this history, but also looks at the present day situation in these towns and how the railway either affected or led to the decline or rise of the specific areas. The Save the Railway project was inspired by Voi railway station, and I actually was studying in Voi. I was living and studying in Voi at the Jomo Kenyatta campus. So I had made it a hobby or sort of like a passion to visit each historical site every month. So I knew that there was a railway station in Voi that was decades old. So one weekend I decided to go and visit it. I took a couple of photos there. I found it to be this grand, exquisite, extraordinary building. And actually being in Voi felt like stepping into a different time because it looks almost exactly as it was when it was built. But there were aspects of it that were falling apart, the roof or the doors or the windows. So for me, this was a very sad state, and I decided to document that. So afterwards, I did some research on other railway stations in the country, and I realized that most of them were like Voi, if not worse or slightly better, and that there was a need and an urgency to document these buildings before it was too late. I was standing at a point where one history was being made with the SGR and one was being forgotten. To me, the railway is symbolic of very many things. The first being the country. Kenya is a country. There's a famous saying that says that it's common for nations to give birth to railways, but it's very uncommon for railways to give birth to nations. And in the case of the Uganda Railway, or the Kenya-Uganda Railway as it was later known, it did give birth to Kenya, as a country, and looking at the urbanization and the towns which grew around the railway, and then you will notice how much the railway did for Kenya. And so for me, the railway is symbolic of the spirit of Kenya as a country, and also the lives that were affected by the railway. It's a project that I realized means a lot to very many people, because I have had people write to me from all over the world with the most intimate and personal memories, and they say, you know, my father worked with the railways. I took the train on my honeymoon when I was 20 in the 1950s. I used to take the railway to school. So I spent about 2 years doing research and curating memories from very many people. And that was fuel for me, because it meant that I was on the right track and I was doing something that meant a lot to very, very many people around the world. Documentation aspect of Save the Railway revolves around, it's a very visual thing, yeah? Because you don't talk about Voi railway station in the year 2050 and nobody knows how it looks like. So photography was the most convenient and the most reliable medium for me to use to capture the stills of the stations. I have a website for the project. The URL is www.savetherrailway.com. It was a very interesting journey, in the sense that I got to learn so much about this country, looking at it from a geographical point of view, seeing the scenery, but also from a social, cultural point of view, being able to notice differences between the people in the different regions. If you're in the coast, then people are very warm, people are very happy to receive you, they don't have many questions. But as you move towards Nairobi and to the city, then people become very alert. There's a lot of mixed reactions as to the functioning of the railway. When I was doing the Mombasa-Nairobi phase, I didn't feel the immediate need that people had lost something when the railway declined. Maybe this might be attributed to the fact that most towns are along the road, or to the fact that the SGR construction is mostly now between Mombasa and Nairobi. But from Nairobi to Kisumu, it was a very, very different aspect of this country that I had not seen before. And in areas that are very rich in agriculture, such as Miwani, Chemilil, where people are dependent a lot on the railway for the transportation of their goods, then you can tell that they have really, really lost a lot. Where I saw the need for historical documentation, people saw the need for answers. And they ask questions like, why doesn't the railway function anymore? I don't understand why they say the railway is not functioning, yet we can see the tracks and we can see the buildings. Some of them wanted to know, will the SGR pass through here? When will it pass through here? I think a huge part of doing this project for me has been to look at it from a historical perspective, but with a lens of the present day. And in that sense, I mean, we should look at the old railway, its rise, and eventually its fall, and say, what are the reasons that made the old railway decline? You know, why didn't it function as it was expected to function? And maybe we can find answers to these questions, and then we can look at the future and say, we have the standard gauge railway now, how will we avoid the same mistakes? I definitely look forward to doing more future projects. I think a lot of the history that we have, even in schools and in Kenya, is very factual. You have dates and you have figures, but the human narrative and the human aspect is missing from a lot of the history that we know, even as children. So I would like to do projects that focus on the human aspect of the history of Kenya. It's possible to do things that are bigger than you. I started Save the Railway as a student. I The only two things that I had were a dream and a blog. I had no money, I had no resources, I had no structure. So I think if you truly believe in something, that it is possible to follow it.